A Texas mayor has come out and revealed her true identity as a transgender individual. Jess Herbst is the New Hope, Texas mayor. It's actually a very conservative part of Texas that has very few people in it, about 640 registered voters. And she decided that she needed to be true to who she really is and revealed what her true identity is. In fact, she's writing a blog about this and wrote, "As your mayor, I must tell you about something that has been with me since my earliest memories. I am transgender." Now, this is actually a very positive, uplifting story because even though this is a small town in Texas, apparently there has been a flood of support for this mayor, and it makes me feel so good to know that that's the case. In fact, she says, "I have received emails congratulating me, calling me brave, and even one expressing pride in living in a town with a mayor like me. I never hoped for more than simple tolerance. The outpouring of support is unprecedented." Unprecedented has never been used more than it has been recently.
Well,
right?
With Trump in the White House, so you can see why. This is part of the reason why I said that we would win on LGBT rights. And I've been saying that for a long, long time, well before the polls swung and well before we've had the Supreme Court decisions go the right way, et cetera. There was two reasons why. One is not so good. There's more gay donors than there are donors fighting against LGBT rights, and money controls everything. So that was part of the reason. Okay, let's just keep it real. It was. The second reason is because they're among us. So, you know, in the old days, religious people used to say, "Oh, the people get divorced are the worst, and it's a sin, and God hates you." I mean, he doesn't hate the sinner, but he hates the sin, right? Then they dropped all that because everybody started getting divorced. And then the divorcees were all among us. And if you did that at church, they'd leave your church. They got annoyed for you judging them because they were divorced, right? Mm-hmm. So now, the thing about being gay or transgender or anything is that it's not by geography, right? So now geography plays a little bit of a role. The reason the coasts are more liberal is people who are more open to change tend to be more liberal and will move. So they move to the coast. And then people who are more conservative stay home. Now that's a big trend overall, but that doesn't mean that if you're born in the middle of Nebraska or Texas, that you're not going to be gay or transgender or liberal.
Yeah,
right?
And also, you know, I think there's a big difference between race relations and gay tolerance, because with race relations, people self-segregate and they, you know, don't necessarily have to enlighten themselves about the reality of life, right? But when it comes to issues pertaining to sexuality or gender identity, it could happen to any family, right? Where all of a sudden someone comes out and says, "Hey, I'm actually gay," or "I'm transgender." And so all of a sudden that gives someone who might not have been as tolerant the opportunity to open themselves up to a different perspective or a different experience.
Especially conservatives are very tribal in their way of thinking. Mm-hmm. Now that sounds like I'm criticizing them. I partly am, but partly not. So here's what I mean by that. If you're within the tribe, they're very open to you. And they take care of you, and there is true family values inside conservatives. Then their politicians, of course, are totally full of it on family values, but they do mean that in a lot of, especially, for example, Mormon values are great family values, and they are very conservative. But the other part of tribal is, but if you're not in my tribe, okay, like I stick to my tribe, and that is part of the conservative mindset, right? Again, talking in generalities here. So you can't have your son come out as black, right? Mm-hmm. So you are, whatever race you are, right? But your son could come out as gay or transgender, and he's in your tribe.
Yeah.
And so once you've got a lot of people within your tribe, and now there's more because people have the courage to come out, before it was too much oppression, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And so now all of a sudden, all these people are popping up inside your tribe, boom, 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 boom. And then you're like, "Oh, yeah. Oh, I know Jess," right?
Yeah.
Jess is okay. I mean,
get it, Jess.
Right? Because there's only 640 people in the town. They all know her,
yes.
right? And they're like, "Oh, come on. Jess is all right. All right, fine. We won't hate gays anymore. We won't hate transgender people anymore." Who's next? Muslims! You got to find another, especially if you're a tribalist, right? But thank God at least LGBT is less and less other these days. We already hired one investigative reporting team thanks to you guys. Let's hire the second right now. Go to tytnetwork.com/go.